I never imagined my own child would look at me like I was something he needed to manage. Not love. Not protect. Manage. But that's exactly what happened the night I realized I had become an inconvenience in my son's new life. I raised Michael alone. His father left when Michael was 6 years old. No warning. No argument. Just a note on the kitchen counter that said, "I can't do this anymore." I stood there reading it 3 times before I understood that this meant us. From that day forward, there was no backup plan. No second income. No shared responsibility. Just me and a small boy who kept asking when Daddy was coming home. I worked mornings in the school cafeteria, afternoons tutoring kids in math, nights cleaning corporate offices downtown. I slept in 4-hour intervals and learned how to fix leaky faucets with YouTube tutorials before YouTube even existed. Michael never saw the panic. I made sure of that. He saw packed lunches, clean clothes, applause at his school plays. What he didn't see were the eviction notices I negotiated, the credit cards I cut up, the jewelry I sold to pay for his SAT prep course. He was brilliant, sharp with numbers, restless with ambition. And I was proud of that ambition. I just didn't realize ambition can sometimes outgrow gratitude. He met Victoria in graduate school. She came from a different universe. Private schools, international vacations, a family estate with a gated driveway and a fountain imported from Italy. When Michael brought her to my small house for dinner the first time, I cooked for 2 days straight. Potruast. Homemade rolls. Peach cobbler. Victoria stepped inside and paused like she was adjusting to a smell. "Oh," she said softly. "It's cozy." Cozy. I smiled. During dinner she asked questions that sounded polite but felt surgical. "Have you always lived here? Did you ever consider other opportunities?" Michael must be excited to finally experience something bigger. Michael laughed at that one. "Yeah, Mom's always been more comfortable staying small." Staying small. I said nothing, but something inside me did. The engagement party was worse. It was held at her parents' estate. Crystal chandeliers. A string quartet. Waiters in white gloves offering champagne I couldn't pronounce. I wore my best navy dress, the one I'd saved for church and funerals. Victoria greeted me with a thin smile. "So glad you could make it," she said, as if I might not have. Michael pulled me aside almost immediately. "Mom, just try not to bring up the old stories tonight, okay? These are high-level people." High-level. Like I was a risk factor. During dinner, Victoria's aunt asked where I lived. Before I could answer, Victoria said lightly, "Oh, she still has her little house near Maple Street. It's very nostalgic." There were chuckles around the table. Michael didn't defend me. He added, "She's happy there. Some people don't aim for more." I felt heat rise in my chest. Some people. The same people who gave up everything so he could aim at all. The worst moment came when Victoria's father began telling the story of how his company survived a catastrophic financial crisis years ago. "It was divine intervention," he said dramatically. "An anonymous genius left corrective notes that saved us from federal investigation." Everyone laughed in awe. Michael leaned over to Victoria and whispered loudly enough for me to hear, "Imagine being that smart." She smirked. "Well, clearly not someone from Maple Street." The table erupted in polite laughter. I sat there quietly, folding my napkin. Because the anonymous genius was me. 10 years earlier, I had been cleaning that very office building when I overheard panic in the conference room. Victoria's father's firm was facing an investigation over financial misreporting. Millions were at stake. So were jobs. Before Michael was born, I had studied accounting. I was good at it. Life had simply pulled me in a different direction. That night, after finishing my shift, I reviewed the documents I'd glimpsed. I went home and reconstructed the errors from memory. It took me 3 nights. Then I typed up a detailed correction plan and left it anonymously on the conference table. They implemented it. The investigation dissolved. The company survived. And eventually it flourished. I never told anyone, not even Michael. Weeks after the engagement party, Michael came to my house unannounced. He didn't sit. "Mom," he began carefully, "Victoria feels like you don't really blend with our social circle." You're welcome at the wedding, obviously," he added quickly. "But maybe limit interactions. It just keeps things smooth." "Smooth? Is that what you want?" I asked. He hesitated. "It's just easier." There it was again. Easier to shrink me than to defend me. I nodded slowly. "I've made your life easier your whole life," I said quietly. "I suppose I can do it one more time." He didn't understand the weight of that sentence. Then things escalated. Victoria began making subtle suggestions. "Maybe your mom shouldn't give a speech at the wedding. She might feel overwhelmed. Let's not seat her near the investors." I overheard one phone call where she said, "We can't have small-town energy at a corporate-level wedding." Small-town energy. That was how she categorized me. Michael didn't argue. He rationalized. "She doesn't mean it like that. She's just stressed. You know how these things are." Yes, I knew exactly how these things were. The final insult came when I received an email, not even a phone call, from Victoria's wedding planner asking me to arrive 30 minutes after the ceremony started, to minimize crowd congestion. I stared at that message for a long time. That night, I opened a box in my closet. Inside were the original handwritten drafts of the corrective financial plan I'd created a decade earlier. I had kept them, not out of pride, but out of habit. Next to them were my old accounting notebooks from community college. The handwriting matched the framed miracle document hanging in Victoria's father's office. Identical. Suddenly, something inside me stopped hurting and started thinking. A week later, Victoria's father invited Michael and me for dinner to discuss a potential expansion of the firm. I brought a folder. Halfway through dessert, he began retelling the miracle story again. "This unknown strategist," he said dramatically, "built the foundation of everything we have today." I gently slid the folder across the table. "I believe this belongs to you." He opened it. His smile faded. Inside were my original drafts, dated, signed in the corner with my initials, something I had absent-mindedly done out of habit. He compared them to the framed document on the wall. Silence. "Victoria Frouneth." Michael leaned forward. "Mom, what is this?" "It's the night your future father-in-law almost lost everything," I said calmly. "And the 3 nights I spent fixing it." Victoria laughed nervously. "That's ridiculous." Her father wasn't laughing. He studied the handwriting. Then he looked at me differently. "You," he whispered. I nodded. I didn't want recognition. I just didn't want employees losing their homes. The room went still. Victoria's face drained of color. Michael's expression shifted from confusion to realization to shame. "You mean," he said slowly, "our entire lifestyle was stabilized because of your mother," her father finished quietly. The atmosphere changed instantly. Victoria's father stood and extended his hand to me. "I owe you everything," he said. Victoria looked at her father like she didn't recognize him. "But she started. "The reason you have what you have," he interrupted sharply. For the first time, someone cut her off. Outside, Michael followed me to my car. "I didn't know," he said, his voice shaking. "No. Iraplia. You didn't. I let them talk about you like that." "Yes," I said gently. "You did." He broke down. I thought success meant leaving things behind. I looked at him carefully. "Success means knowing what built you," I said, "and protecting it." The wedding still happened, but everything was different. Victoria personally asked me to give a speech. I stood in front of the same guests who had laughed at Maple Street. "I don't need a bigger house," I said calmly. "I built something much larger. I built a man capable of greatness. I just hope he never forgets the ground beneath him." No one laughed. They applauded. Victoria avoided my eyes. But she never called me small again. Today, I still live in my little house. Michael visits every Sunday, not out of obligation, out of respect. And whenever someone mentions that anonymous genius who saved a company years ago, Victoria's father corrects them. She wasn't anonymous, he says firmly. She was underestimated. Sometimes the loudest rooms are built on the quietest sacrifices. And sometimes the people who look the smallest are the very reason everyone else stands tall.